Hello, welcome to the Wellness Lab podcast, where we share amazing ideas, technology, educational content for anyone in the audience to learn more about how to improve your health and wellness. Today we have Dana Klein with us, and we're going to talk about early intervention, digital therapeutics for childhood, treating anxiety and depression. So there's lots of tools in place that we might be or we might have heard of, and today we're gonna dive in with Dana and how we can support um, youth or children with mental health. So over to you. Thanks for being here today, Dana. And we would like to have an overview of your story of how these tools come in place to support children.
Great. Thank you, Lilia. This is a very interesting topic because there are many tools out there for, of course, many different things for the children. A lot of them are geared towards, education and different kinds of, physical and, many different layers of healthcare as well and telehealth. But we specialize in particular in mental health. And we deal with anxiety, depression, OCD, ADHD, and autism issues with our company called George, which is a mental health app for children. And one of the things that we've noticed is a lot of times, the children are clumped together, in different groups. Like for example, autism. There are many layers of autism, and so but people just address it autism. And then you've got anxiety. Well, there are many different layers. There's severe anxiety. There's it could be trigger pointed anxiety, etc. So the real challenge with these tools is addressing the real personal issue and making it very child centric. And there aren't enough tools out there. So that's where we came in. And one of the things that we noticed is that, children were 4 and 5 anxious and depressed, and by 7 and 8 starting to commit suicide. And then we looked at the global statistics, and 1 in 2 children suffer from anxiety and depression, and most go undiagnosed or untreated due to accessibility and costs. And now we have a 30% annual increase in suicides for children under 11. So this is another issue, is the age. Where do they, at what point does this child have the trigger that takes them down a different road? And so, really being child-centric is key. And then other kinds of avenues, such as what kind of technology will we use, and what kind of therapy in that technology will we use if we're talking about any kind of health. And so, is it technology that gives you access to a live person? Is it technology that uses AI? And then what kind of AI, and people don't know there's a difference. And there's a difference between black and white hat technology. So black hat is what social media uses. And so, black hat is when we look for vulnerabilities and we keep them addicted. White hat does the exact opposite. Is the language scrubbed? Is there real-time monitoring or not? So, so our tool goes with the white hat, real-time monitoring, etc. But we don't have live. So the live, if you use telehealth tool that connects you to a live person, that's extremely valuable on its own, and of course very personal. What we do is we address through a very specific machine learning program that allows the child to connect and have interim and continuity of support 365, 24/7. So we look at ourselves as really a tool for, with or without therapy. So I'll stop there because I did see if you have any further questions, because I can, of course, talk more and more about George, the program, but I just want to make sure I address your questions.
Thank you, Dana. And well, really interesting to learn, and lots of things that will help the audience as well understand how it works, how is it different from, let's say, social media, because sometimes we have on our minds like they are maybe just using a lot of devices and technology, and that is creating this anxiety and stress. But it's quite not just the sake of being in front of a computer or a TV or a tablet. We name it, we can name it, but it's basically that specifically, like how we can use their screen time to use them in their favor for their mental health with technology in place, and obviously having these safe barriers and some technology, not only technology but science backing it up. I remember from what we discussed and what we can learn from the website, and as a parenthesis, we're sharing below the links to the website, your LinkedIn profile as well, and the social handles, just in case anyone has questions or wants to really grab more and see how it works. There's all the links available. There's a free trial, a couple of things that you might be able to learn and grab some like discounts and whatnot. So everything will be there. So thanks for sharing that, Dana, and it's available below. So you don't have to rush and write things or just try to figure out like what's the name and how you spell it, but it's George. And then coming back to my initial train of thought was this approach is backed by science. So that's another really interesting thing to learn. And you obviously will be the one to enlighten us and elaborate how has it come. I think it's like 3 psychological science therapies. So I know you will be able to tell us more how they connect or how they work in their favor, but it's basically this is a robot app that will be available for kids to have a plan in place to help them improve and have their mental health in place.
Yeah, thank you for that. So what we did was we took AI and we coupled it with 3 different kinds of therapies: CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy, and action commitment therapy, and positive psychology. And these are the 3 gold standards in therapy for mental health. And so we coupled the AI with that, and we put in the form of friendly characters that engage the children in interactive and independent activities. So conversation, games, exercises, and more. And we have the real-time monitoring for the parents, and if there's a clinician involved as well, for the clinician or school or social service, anybody else who needs to be in the loop. So we basically, it's a human in the loop technology, and we built a cocoon around the child. And but what makes us, so those things right there already make us different. But what the other thing is, people often confuse AI with automation. So we had we automated also 30 plus years of experience by Dr. Louise Metcalf, who is the inventor and researcher, scientist, who is also a psychologist and a mother herself. And she was looking for this kind of tool and she couldn't find it. So this is how it all came about, was she was really just, tired of watching these kids so anxious and depressed, and not having a tool for the children once they left her office. So so she automated what she herself did in practice for the masses. And then the AI that we use is for a very specific child-centric approach, so that this is all about that child, so that it gets customized and personalized as time goes on with that child, and it's the child's friend. And we not only have the scrub language and the white hat technology, but we also have a timed user experience. So the child gets on for up to 10 minutes at a time and gets back off into real life. And so when we're talking about screen time, the other bonus that happened just by, just how things evolve, is that the children started on their own realizing, this makes me feel bad, this makes me feel good, so I'm going to use this. And they would opt out of on their own other things, on screen time that just doesn't make them feel good. And the way George is set up, they have other kinds of activities once they leave their session with George. So they go off and they, maybe George says, well, why don't you go for a walk? So, go, or go do the XYZ, but it's a very specific rhythm to the technology. And if we use it with therapy or even other kinds of programs, like, for example, if a child has cancer, there's an emotional side that's not being addressed. So all of these things sort of work together, and that's how we become, really valuable to that child, but not only the child, the family, because what happens is through the real-time monitoring on the parent side, they start to see new insights to their child they didn't see before. So, for example, Tommy didn't eat today. Let me go back and see what happened with George. Okay, I see he had a trigger 2 days ago. Well, now I know that it takes Tommy 2 days to process the trigger. Well, this is new for a parent, because they see their child acting out for no reason. They don't know what happened, so, and the child can't articulate. And what we teach is children how to identify, articulate, and cope with triggers. So they identify what's going on. They can articulate it or express it in some productive manner, and then they learn how to cope with it. But it's real emotional intelligence and resilience, and it has lasting effects. And that's why we target, again, when we talk about tools, you have the right tool for the right audience at the right time. So we specifically target 7 to 12 because we want to get them before they're teenagers, before it's very complicated, and in doing so, it becomes preventative in nature. So that's how we roll. So
Thank you. And obviously, it makes a lot of sense as I'm assuming we, but not everyone, but parents have gone through these phases with, there's always challenges that we might not be well aware, right? They're out at the school, at certain activities and whatnot, and there's so much happening in their developing brain. So it's really interesting to learn how through the platform, and we know right now these days data is power, so the same applies for our kids, right? If we can understand better what emotions they're going through, what's happening, and then having some support with technology and some like safe technology in place that will help guide what's happening, how, and they have a tool as well. They have extra support. Sometimes I find for humans in general might be hard to open up and tell how are you feeling, what's happening. They might feel ashamed. They might feel nervous about an issue happening at school, let's say, if someone is bothering them, just to make an example. So sometimes if they have this safe space that we know they're going to go to, and they will have these coping mechanisms, strategies to understand what has happened, how they can deal with it, and just have some tools in place, it's really good to know there's this app. And another important thing to mention, this started in Australia, but it's really available across the globe. So many countries, specifically like US, Canada, that we have lots of listeners from there. It's available for US and Canada, which is good to highlight. And the other thing that obviously you can elaborate more on, Dana, would be the technology, the app, and overall the framework was co-designed as well with kids, educators, health professionals, which brings like this full capacity and spectrum of, there's like this science, the expert building it, and then how it helps to have a full insights and obviously capabilities when you get other individuals participating on how the end product works and looks like.
yeah, so yes, so the the engagement, what makes us also unusual is the high engagement, because that's where health tech basically goes to die. So if you don't have that engagement, you can forget about it. And a lot of times, patients might, if they're going inpatient, let's say for mental health, and then they leave, they sometimes just drop out off the face of the earth. They just don't respond to anything. And that's not, you kind of gotta, like medication, you gotta ease up, and then before you stop completely. So the engagement is high, and it's built by children for children. So thank you for bringing that up. And so everything is very age appropriate. Also, when it comes to safety of these tools, very important to note, we are HIPAA compliant, we're COPA, we're SOC 2, we're, GDPR. We are multilingual, multicultural, male, female. And we just launched our Spanish version. And we have 70 other languages in the pipeline getting ready to launch as well. We're just doing the final quality testing on that. But we don't collect, store, or sell data. We are not in the loop. We provide, our goal is to make sure that mental health support is available for children everywhere, anytime, wherever in the world that they need it. So we eliminate access and cost issues. We're very inexpensive, less than Netflix, for multiple users under the same subscription, wherever and whenever they need it. So basically a whole family with a parent portal. So it could be all 5 children, for example. They all have their separate logins. There's a parent portal, and it's less than $12 a month. So, and then eventually we will have a free version that will be available as well. And the point is to just remove those barriers. And when children don't have anything else, they have something. So that's really important to us. And then, of course, for us, we have something for everybody. So for the child, we have 365, 24/7, support that is just fun to use. And for the parent, it's these new insights, and less cost, less stress, no wait times, and really, that always knowing that they're connected to the child is just even a whole relief into itself. And then for the healthcare providers or social services, it's interim support, continuity of support, easy, constant delivery of care, a closer connection to the child, and therefore better outcomes overall. And it saves them money too, and time, because the healthcare providers and social services, they're just simply overwhelmed. They can't service the amount of children that need to be serviced. And so we connect the dots.
Thank you, Dana. And also, thanks for mentioning like all the compliance safety that is in place, because I know as parents, using technology and having our kids in this safe space will make a difference when choosing an app, a tool, and whatnot for them to share their emotions, their feelings, and obviously be safe, because we know nowadays there's so many dangers in the virtual world. So thank you for that. And we're getting close to an end, but one thing that I noticed, maybe I think it was a couple days ago, there is a new book, right, available, that will be available, or it's available now, George Children's book. So worthwhile highlighting that as well.
Thank you. Yeah. So we have a children's book. Every year we try and do something special for Christmas, and this year it turns out it will be the first of a series of books that will that are available now on our through our website, and it's works the child through with the family, with the parent. Again, we always have the adult, a trusted adult, in the involved, and of how to basically approach the day. And to keep that positive attitude, and look at things just a little bit more different, so that that we all we all need more positivity, and we attack it one child at a time. Well, thank you for
Thank you.
bringing that up. So,
Yes, no problem.
I appreciate that.
Making sure we bring all the tools available and what's out there from
Mhm.
George, and greatly appreciate your time. Is there any specific maybe thoughts, advice, or thing that you might want the audience to leave from this conversation with? Like it can be something that you might feel doing, like let's say a habit or something specific with your kids or children around you might make a difference besides obviously some of the technology we know like George that is in place.
Yeah, I think I think one of the things I'm always asked is, uh, why is this such a big problem now? And I am not a psychologist. I work on the business side of things, but we are not. The world has changed, and we don't nurture the same way that we did, 200 years ago, 100 years ago, and but we haven't kept up with the changes in nurturing. So, we might have changes in our lifestyles, we have changes in how we work, but we haven't changed how we nurture. And so we have to change to keep up with all the other changes, and this is my thought is that we need to use these tools to nurture our children better, and that's just the way the world is today. And it's okay. It doesn't mean there's bad parents out there. It doesn't mean that the children are overwhelmed with technology. They're overwhelmed because they don't have the cushion that there was, and it's just the way it is. So, but again, it's okay. We just have to address it, and it's not, it's not a death sentence or anything. It's just let's just make this adjustment here, and we move forward, and the child develops healthy, and that's what we want. So I want to say that to all the parents. You're all good parents, and there's always that thing. Let's blame the parents. No, it's the whole, the way things have evolved. So, and we need to just evolve with it.
Thank you, Dana. And one more thing I didn't highlight, but there's lots of information to educational, like there's podcasts on their website. So really interesting to take a look, and whatever makes sense, or if things are that apply for your situation, you feel free to listen to the podcasts or blogs too. So lots of material there to support parents.
Yeah, we have a lot of tools, and I will say we also have, if you just go to our website, we have a free marketplace. It costs nothing, but it's a lot of savings. It's just a bonus to those who visit, and a free trial of George. So you can give it a quick shot trial and see what happens. And we are, by the way, HSA and FSA eligible now, and we also have. We've been accepted by the American Psychiatric Association just recently as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Such great news. I know those things are key in the US market. So congratulations. Happy to hear that. And thanks again for all the contributions today, Dana. Happy to talk
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you, Lila. I really enjoyed this. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.